Hey, what's up, Facebook Live people? I have my friend Carmen here, and today we're going to talk about how God is working in her network marketing business. And I think it's awesome. So we're streaming live, and then of course I'm recording it for the podcast. But Carmen is in the rain outside after working out, and I love that. And so we're just going to carry on, right?
Yes, we were just talking about how God is so amazing. Like he's not limited to weather. To like went to Starbucks and got a green drink. Like who goes to Starbucks to get that in the rain?
I don't know. I love that. I just want to tell everyone here and tell you, Carmen, face to face. So I watched a video you did with my friend Brianne, and you talked about stewarding the leadership opportunity God has given to you. And just that one line, and I don't know if that's what you want to talk about today, but I just want to tell everyone, I just want you guys to think about that concept. And that's how I met Carmen. I was like, I have to meet this person. And then I, of course, orchestrated through much manipulation a breakfast with Carmen.
I respond to manipulation. It's good.
So I have to meet this person. And I'm just so grateful that we've been able to connect. And so I was just wondering if you could share with our Christian Network Marketers community audience, what is God doing in your business right now or in the past, whatever you'd like to share?
That's just such a question, right? Like, why wouldn't he be? And when you said the view, just before we were talking, you said the way you view God is the way you view your business. I believe that that's true in all areas of our lives if we authentically love Jesus and love God, because just like any other relationship that you're so invested in, it's going to penetrate all the areas of your life. So for me, I was just talking to a friend today just for a coffee, and I said, God will use people who are willing. And I think for me, when I heard the call, I just wanted so badly to be used by God in whatever he called me at the time, that I said yes. I said yes, and I never took that back. So I was going to the medical school to become a doctor, and then I read this autobiography of a Christian missionary, and then I said, man, I want to get to people before they get sick. I want to get to their hearts, their souls, their mind, so I became a missionary for many years. And then when God was taking us away from Romania after 14 years of being missionaries, I told him that he needs to give me a business that will take me back to my country. And we had this back and forth because God was calling me he was calling me after 14 years of being a missionary and never talking about money. He told me one day in almost an audible voice, and I hope I don't scare anybody here. He said, now I'm going to teach you to make money. And I was at a low point because I didn't want to leave my country. He was taking me there. He was taking me here from there. And I said, get behind me, Satan. Money? Like, that's
right.
my mindset.
I love that you're bringing this up. I think this is a huge challenge for a lot of Christians.
A lot of Christians.
I want to talk about being smart too, because we had a fun conversation about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about money and
yeah. So we went back and forth with just like until one day I said, fine, but if you're gonna give me a business, because I didn't see myself. He actually said, I'll teach you to make money. He didn't say I'll give you a job. So I said, fine, but if you give me a business, that will take me back and forth, to my country, to my other country, because I knew that my husband is from the States, so I knew that I had to love this country just as much as I love mine, which I do. But roots are roots. So God told me to have roots and wings, and he gave me the business, and I know even now it's his, and I have to steward it well, because there's huge responsibility when he gives you a platform of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And you amplify your voice with any business, anything that you get involved with wholeheartedly. And I always did everything with all my heart. I just throw myself in and just dedicate myself. But I realized what he actually did with me. He amplified my voice with this business. He now put me in front of thousands and thousands of people. And the only message is how much he cares about people and how much he wants to change their lives. So whether I talk about oils, whether I talk about money mindset, or about up-leveling your skill as a Christian so people can be drawn to you, Christians and non-Christians, it's just allowing God to be who he is through you. That's why I say I think he'll use anybody who's willing. Just say yes.
Yep. Awesome. I love that. So can you talk a little bit also about the stewardship principle when it comes to, I mean, I think you talked about a little bit, right? Like your platform that God gives you. But can you talk a little bit about stewarding your leadership opportunities?
Yeah, I don't take anything lightly. When God gives me something, I know that it's, I have to partner with him and co-create with him. So I've learned early in my ministry and then in my business that I need to show up for the things that he's calling me to do. So I do that in prayer a lot because I have to discern, of course. And my family, actually, we do this with God. I don't want my kids to learn about God. I want my kids to know God. So they're involved in everything. We pray for our business every single morning and every single night. But we pray not, hey, let's just go to the next rank. We really pray that God will be present and change people's lives. So when we pray that way, you feel responsible, So God chose me, and not that I take his place. He will always do his work. He doesn't need me.
Right.
But I feel honored to be his partner and to be his voice and to be his hands and to be his feet. So the way I do that, to be honestly, I understand that I have to keep earning the good people he's putting in my, and I know that might sound a little off, but what I mean by that, I need to up level myself all the time and show up to really shepherd those people. And I want to be, I never want to ask them to do something that I'm not willing to do. And I'm not saying here you have to learn everything. I'm just saying they have to have that, that view, the eagle view. You have to see things from a different perspective as a leadership, to see, so sometimes I'm in the thick of it, in the woods, and sometimes I'm soaring above, just, asking God, where is my community? What is their need right now? What kind of skill do I have to learn to be able to keep shepherding them? What kind of program or what kind of fun thing we have to do, So doing that with God just makes it fun. Doing things with God is always, that's always fun. And it takes the pressure off a little bit. And I always say, listen, this is your business.
Yeah.
So, I said yes, but I'm not perfect. You are. So keep asking for revelation. But I like I said, it's very important for a leader to realize he needs to have a perspective from above. He needs to be able to see the whole picture. He needs to be able to see ahead. What I always do, I give them great vision, but also give them small steps. And that's what I mean. Sometimes I'm in the thick of them with the small steps. Yeah, let's do a class together now. But next thing, I spend 3 hours strategizing how to choose the topics for a retreat. Not strategize the topics, how to choose. What do we want from this? What is God doing?
Right.
3 hours with the brightest people in the room. How do you create ahas? How do people's lives change? Information doesn't change people. So I want to just deliver information to them. I want to be able to inspire them to want to go to the next level because they love their lives and they want to change their lives. So, sorry, I just keep talking.
No, that was great. I have like notes. I want to ask you a question, just personally, right? As a fellow influencer. So, you were talking about, and maybe this isn't helping anyone. This is me using my platform selfishly right now. So I agree with you from a responsibility perspective, right? And I feel like my platform is one God has said, okay, you need to take care of this. For me, most days that feels heavy, right? Because I also take it very, very seriously. How do you balance the responsibility of this and that potential ability to be heavy while not being, flippant about it? I mean, that's something that I personally wake up and I'm like, man, I have a lot of influence. Hope I do a good job today.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. I kind of, sometimes I go through seasons. Sometimes I have to do it one day at a time. And I surround myself with good mentors as well. And to be honest, Tasha, it's funny you asked me that, but I had a little bit of a personal crisis the other day when I had to pull some prayer warriors because of this, because I said, I feel that God is calling me to the next level, and I'm not going to share what, because it doesn't matter, but I know he's going to increase my influence. And I felt like Jesus in Gethsemane garden when he said, he actually gave me the permission to say no. And I struggled with this for a few months when this idea was offered to me. And then I finally said yes. And you know why I said yes? I prayed about it, because if I didn't do it, this is just a very particular situation that I'm trying not to get into the details of. So I hope I can get the message. If I didn't do it, there was somebody else with a dark voice that was going to do it. So I had to choose, am I selfish and looking about how little I am? I know I'm little. I always knew. Or am I going to look at the gray God and say, if you choose me,
Right.
I'll drink the cup. And sometimes you have to drink the cup. That's why I always say leadership is a lonely place. Being in a place of influence, if you don't surround yourself with people who take care of your soul, it gets lonely sometimes, right, Tasha? So that's why I called my prayer warriors. There's 3 of them. I said, we need to get together tonight. It's urgent. And they prayed for me and they lifted me up. And God revealed to me that, I'm giving you permission. You can step forward with this with me. It's never easy. Whoever said changing the world is easy? But it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding when you wake up every day and somebody else writes, like this morning, just somebody gave me feedback about a blog that I did. I was very vulnerable in it. Like, today you changed my day. And I said, thank you, Jesus. One more person.
Well, yeah, one more person, because we chose to step out. And I think what frustrates me just in general is we have so many good people that we know, and they're sitting on the sidelines because they're worried too much about messing it up, as if God doesn't exist and can't fix our screw ups anyway.
Or as if screwing up is a problem. Like that's, like, come on. I remember a few years ago, I had a friend that I really appreciated. She was a very successful businesswoman. And at the time I had no money. So for me, she was a goddess. But she asked me, hi, Carmen, you always look like somebody who bounces right up. And you know what I told her? I didn't even think about it. I said, I just got very comfortable with having my face in the dirt and dusting myself off. And I decided to tell myself a different story. Making mistakes in front of people, it's okay. And it's actually probably the only way. Just like with parenting, they need to see me through all the stages, because you know what? I have to control the controllables, and sometimes I cannot control, my circumstances, what happens to me, but I can control how I react to that. So standing up and say, oops, or sorry, or I'll do better next time. I feel that that's the authentic way of serving people, because you know what? They know that they would also make mistakes. And it's you're so much more relatable when they see you. So I have no fear of getting here in the rain, thinking that the internet connection might, like, this is me.
Yeah. And I like your hoodie.
Yeah. It's all like,
I feel like I should be also wearing a hoodie. One of the things we talked about before we started recording was this concept of, and normally we don't talk about it. I think it's relevant for this, but Carmen has achieved the highest rank in her company, and 90% of what we do as influencers is like this, right? Is outside of a coffee shop, outside, right?
Yeah, and then in my car.
One day I have a comment here, can't wait to meet this amazing woman tomorrow. But tomorrow will be different, right? Tomorrow you'll be dressed.
I'll go do my manicure for tomorrow.
Yeah. And what's funny is I even do that. I even get my toes done when I go speak, which it doesn't matter because I wear shoes, but like we all go through this, like, got to go wax the mustache and got to do all these things if we're going to go speak in person.
Oh, I have the best joke with the mustache. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll leave it for another time.
Right. But 90% of our job is this. And I think so much of it also is dusting off. I feel like so many people look at people who've achieved high influence or high ranks and think that their journey was probably like this. So what is the journey actually like for someone who is following God, right? Like, have you rebuilt your business? How many times have you rebuilt legs? How many times?
Yeah, I'm rebuilding now. Yeah. You know what? Anybody who thinks that is somebody who has never pioneered or created something big. If you expect somebody to have success by just going forward, I'll be honest with you, and this I'm convinced of. I know brokenness, because if God is going to put you in a place of influence, you need to stay there with integrity. I say this to my team all the time: anybody can get to success, but not very few people stay there with integrity. And my prayer was, if God is going to give me if he's going to give me many people for me to shepherd, I want it to stand upright. And the only way to do that, as we see through the Bible, as we see through the people we, like all the influencers that we admire, you will be broken. You'll have, like, I've been through the valley, I've been through, through all the experiences. You just learn to move forward. And I always say every experience is only valid and valuable for us if it's evaluated. So yeah, I've been through just like anybody else, anybody here in this group who's building a business, probably our lives look very similar. I have 4 kids. You don't even know, like when I started this business, my youngest was 2, and I would have Zoom or whatever. And she had, I moved all her toys in my bedroom. I didn't have an office. We were living in a rental home. She had all her toys there, and she knew that she can play very quietly. I would give her a snack, like right there next to me. And she learned in time that, when mommy talks just this hour, I have to be quiet, or sometimes I would just mute the Zoom and tend to her needs and go back to Zoom. But I wanted my team to see that, because this is normal life. Or I would forget about a meeting because I forgot about my son's baseball game and I had to run there. So, all the things that make our life exciting.
Exciting.
I love. And relationships. You put 2 people together in a room, in a team, and there's a potential for conflict. Oh my goodness, how many heartbreaking conversations I had to have, or relationships. I always say I don't leave any conflict with bitterness. I have to do whatever, even if I lose. I don't care about losing a conflict if I live with bitterness. I know bitterness is a hard thing to heal. So I don't care to win arguments or to sometimes protect my what is it? English is my 3rd language. I don't want to defend myself. I want God to be my defender. And you know how many people have come sometimes months or years later saying, oh my gosh, you were right. I know I was the mother, then you were the kid, the teenager who was fighting with me, thinking that they know better. I released you. I never burn bridges. Just don't burn bridges with people. Leave the doors open. Protect yourself. I've had situations when I had to protect myself from some people for some while,
Sure.
Especially people who were clouding my vision from God.
Mm-hmm.
But then I left the door open, and I said, when you're willing to really have an open conversation with me, I'm here. So yeah, how do you do it? One day at a time, always keeping God in front of you, and expect hard times. They will come. But you build resiliency, and that's the topic that they chose for me tomorrow. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do they know?
I love resiliency. That's so good.
But I had to look it up in the dictionary because, again, English is not my first language. But then I was like, oh, now I see why they gave me this topic.
There's a great book called Option B on resiliency that I think that you would love. It's by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant, and it's amazing on resiliency.
I think I'll get it.
Yeah, Option B. It's great on audio if you like audio. What I wrote down here is just this observation that I've never seen an influencer alone. You mentioned your prayer warriors, and I obviously, I'm a professional coach, and it's amazing how many professional coaches don't have coaches. I have 2 coaches and a boss, all right on my payroll, because I know that if I want to do things, I need to be surrounded by people who will speak truth when I'm wrong, who will support me, who will push me to do the things I don't want to do. And when I wake up, most mornings, probably 4 out of the 7 mornings, doubting myself, they'll encourage me. Now, I don't think that every single person necessarily needs to hire 3 leaders, but I think that what you said about that is so critical. So many people think that they need to lead alone, that they should be able to learn these things themselves. And if they can't figure it out themselves, then there's something wrong with them. And so I just love that you said that.
Yeah, I actually say, I go further. I have the audience of 5. I always talk about that in my team. I have 5 people that would take a portion of influence in my life. And everybody, maybe like one is a spiritual mentor. Somebody is, I bounce ideas off about business. Sometimes I just need to, what I call it, mind dumping.
Brain dump,
brain dumping. Or I have somebody who will remind me to have fun once in a while. Like the person that I went for coffee this morning, she's my fun neighbor. We obviously have to have common values with those people, so they know who they are, those five. I call them on it. And sometimes, even if no matter how busy we are, we decide we do life together. So the other day I was down and I wrote, I need my friend today, not because she's my business, she's in my business. I need my friend today. Just make sure that you have that hat on when you talk.
Yeah, I do that. I do that as well.
Yeah, so the audience of 5, and my husband is definitely out there.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's one practical tip that you can give our audience to help them to build their business with skill?
It's a good question. Actually, I didn't even know what I was doing good. I was one of those leaders that, but somebody called it. He said, this is a guy actually in my business that said to his team, we were having a Zoom, he said, if there is something that I want you to learn from Carmen, is planning and sticking to the plan no matter how you feel. But when it comes to building with skill, I'm now one who thinks I need to know all the steps ahead. I'm somebody who says, well, I have to get good at this now.
Yep.
And whenever the next door opens, now I have to go good, and I always let God, because too many people get stuck into, I don't know it all. Mm-hmm. And they get stuck, they don't do anything. Just do the things that's in front of you. The one thing that's in front of you, God gave you 2 people, talk to those, lead them to the next step, Don't learn what a presidential should be doing when you're a premier, it doesn't make any sense. So I tell people, do what's in front of you faithfully. And then the next door of from yes to yes, that's how I live my life. But I always up level. When I get the point where I say, okay, I feel like kind of stuck here. I evaluate, but I involve my 5 people. Mm-hmm. I evaluate and decide what's the next skill that I have to learn probably, and it's mostly for me, about dreaming bigger. For me, it's about dreaming bigger and showing up with courage. And I don't say that because it sounds good and everybody says it lately. I really mean the leaders have to show up with courage. Yeah. And in the dark of my closet, sometimes I cry and I'm afraid when I go in front of people. I call them to greatness, because I believe that we usually fail because we don't dream big enough. It's not because you dream too big.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's so good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience since you have the platform?
Just to be faithful to their dream. I don't know how to say this in English because I wrote it in Romanian in my journal, but so many people think that showing up for their heart's desires or for things that energize them is not necessarily honorable, or, especially us women, we sacrifice ourselves on the altar of other people's desires. But sometimes God's dream for us, it's disguised in the desires of our heart.
Sure.
And when you show up for the desires of your heart, you might really change many lives down the road. Because somebody who's will, who's fulfilled, who's vibrant, you're not going to influence people if you go without, you have to be vibrant. And, you can't sell oils if you're always sick, same thing, you can't sell vision if you're not vibrant with vision and life. And people have to believe that if they associate themselves with you, they'll move forward. So you need to trust me that we have to take care of yourself and your dreams. It's something that I'm talking now with my audience. How you do that, you do have to have somebody to help you prioritize if you don't know how to do that, for sure, like a coach or a mentor or a best friend or a book.
Sure.
I
love that. That's so good. So what I'm hearing you say is that keep your vision strong, and that it's okay to want to go to the next level, to have those things, because it causes you to show up. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. But again, for me, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be in front of people. And then I thought, that's bad. That's selfish. But until I owned that and realized there's something in that, it's not because I wanted to be, I always imagined myself with a mic in front of people. When I tried singing, I actually recorded an album too. So what it was, it's what I'm believing now, 4 years later.
Right.
God gave me a platform of influence. Whatever it is, you might like to cook and might I don't know, like, the things that are in your heart,
Right.
don't ignore those.
I love that. Well, joy, right? I mean, God wants us to live a life of joy. And so if he gives us this thing, right, where you're going to be joyful on stage, pouring into all of these people, I think God wants that for us, right? And he wants us to pursue those things and then add skill to them and
Yes,
pursue excellence and be smart about that and, give that up to him on a daily basis. I think it's all part of it. It's not just, I have this desire, I'm going to chase it, but it's all of those things, right?
Right. Yeah. No, one of my life quotes is by Frederick Buechner. I hope I'm pronouncing that. He says that your calling is when your life's greatest joy intersects with the needs of the world. He doesn't give us joys and desires just for us ever. Like, it always overflows into the world. He wants us to love and serve well because he loves and serves well. That's actually, when people ask me what's your religion, I said, I just love God and love people. That's all. That's how simple it is. But yeah, definitely. I tell people there's three things that need to intersect for you to live out of your core values and lead joyfully. And one is doing something that you like to do, doing something that serves people, and then doing something you train to do. So, but the training can come later. First, you look at, what am I doing that gives people value? What is it? And if you don't know, ask somebody, hey, when I do what, do you feel joy or do you feel valued? And then what am I doing with joy out of all those things? And then get training. If you cook for people and you're a great, do you know that the gift of hospitality is the most mentioned in the Bible? Then you know what? Go do a cooking school, whatever, hosting school, and then you will have influence.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Awesome. Well, we better wrap up. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your thoughts so generously this morning. And I hope this was an encouragement to anyone that is watching. So let me end this recording.